Howdy gang, coming at you live from my tomb, I mean house, with a video I decided to make up on the fly after having an absolutely massive galaxy brain moment at the hour of the wolf, surviving on maybe 4 hours of sleep, and a meal consisting of a pot roast, broccoli, a peanut butter sandwich, and 2 chocolate chip cookies. And yes, it was quite delicious. But first, I gotta get you guys up to speed on something so you're not confused as to why I'm dressed like this. So, small life update, for those that don't know. Since September of last year, I've really gotten into My Chemical Romance, for which I hold the one and only Strange Aeons and her video analyzing every single one of Gerard Way's Return Tour outfits personally responsible for. Since then, I have been listening to the music, of course, and working my way through each album slowly but surely, until one night I decided to binge the entire discography in one sitting, which I do not recommend. Please enjoy music at your own pace. I was not built for binge watching or binge listening, apparently. And devouring an ungodly amount of MCR history and lore videos across both YouTube and TikTok before the ban went through, that is. Rest in peace, TikTok. God, but never forgotten. Now, I say this, but TikTok is still, technically around in the US, but she's just not the same, so I'm not going back. Oh yeah, and song analysis videos, definitely those too. Anyway, cut to November when My Chem comes out of hiding out of nowhere and announces another tour, causing everybody and their mother to lose their marbles, including me. Because from what we saw in the days leading up to this announcement, and despite the name of the tour being Long Live the Black Parade, this is not gonna be a direct rehash of the original Black Parade tour. That much is clear from the cryptic Instagram posts we got, the promo videos themselves, and the fact that we got a massive new lore drop. And besides, a rehash really isn't MCR style anyway, and I highly doubt they would want to relive through the Black Parade era in particular. Because touring for 2 years straight and being away from your family for that long, and just making the record itself was grueling, exhausting, and straight up traumatizing and draining for everyone involved. It was a crucible that they barely made it out of, and that's no hyperbole, they said so themselves. It almost spelled the end of the band once it was all over. But I digress. With all of this new stuff, people have been speculating that this could be the tour where we're finally gonna get the 5th studio album, the very much long-awaited MCR 5. And since Long Live is in quotation marks, people have speculated that that's going to be the name of the 5th album, Long Live. And the 1 to 2 word mysterious captions of the Instagram posts are song titles such as Good Boy and Opera. And all of this has been bouncing around in my head for months, trying to figure out what it means, along with all the MCR lore videos that I was devouring at the same time. And then, about 48 hours ago, at the time I'm recording this, a light bulb went off in my head as the clock struck midnight. But before we get into my little theory, I have to get you guys caught up on the new lore drop. Otherwise, my theory is going to make absolutely zero sense and you are going to be very confused. Context is everything and mandatory, people. On November 12th, 2024, a grand total of 5 days before my 26th birthday, the official My Chemical Romance YouTube channel dropped this video featuring a Dictator making an appearance from his mansion's balcony to greet his seemingly adoring public, announcing the tour dates. The blurb in the description box beneath the video reads as follows. It has been 17 years since the Black Parade was sent to the moat. In that time, a great dictator has risen to power, bringing about the Concrete Age, a glorious time of stability and abundance in the history of drag. His grand immortal dictator wishes to celebrate our rich and storied culture, fine foods, and musical entertainments by welcoming you to these great demonstrations of power and resolve, and lending voice and song for the first time in 6,246 days. Their work privilege ceremoniously reinstated will be his grand immortal dictator's national band, the Black Parade. Long live drag. Not only does this serve as a disturbingly relevant meta-commentary on where we're at now in the world, especially if you have the misfortune of being stuck living in the United States like I am, but it can also be seen as a take on how nostalgia culture has been corrupted by capitalism and twisted to serve evil people in positions of power. Like corporations bringing back nostalgic media for cash grabs to varying degrees of quality and success, and treating the workers behind making said reboots like absolute garbage and then throwing them to the wayside as soon as the project is done. And how nostalgia culture these days feels like one giant came back wrong trope where, yeah, the things that you loved as a kid are back now, but they're different in a very uncomfortable, very soulless way. But mainly, all of this gives me cause to believe, this gives me a suspicion that this so-called national band going by the name The Black Parade has personal connections to this grand immortal dictator. A day before this theory was born, I was watching an old interview where they were explaining the concept of the Black Parade album and how the reason death came for the patient in the form of a parade is because his fondest memory was when his dad took him to see a marching band as a kid. And the final linchpin, the thing that caused this theory to form, is not long afterwards I had a brilliant moment of two and two being put together. I remembered the last sentence at the end of the blurb for the 10th anniversary re-release of the Black Parade, Living with Ghosts, and it said, "The Black Parade is dead, long live the Black Parade." And what is this tour called? Long Live the Black Parade, with long live in quotation marks. So my theory is this. What if the grand immortal dictator is the patient resurrected? Somehow the patient was brought back from the dead and eventually became the dictator. Now whether or not the dictator is actually immortal or that's just like in-universe propaganda, we don't know right now. But him being actually immortal is more likely because you don't have to still be alive in order to become immortal. To quote Our Lady of Sorrows, "Oh, how we thought immortality meant never dying." I mean, look at vampires. They aren't alive and yet they live on forever as undead. And we know MCR do love them some vampires. But do I think the dictator is specifically a vampire? No. Do I think that he might be some kind of ghoul, a revenant, or some other flavor of undead? Absolutely. But I wouldn't put it past MCR to make him a vampire, because that would be pretty on brand for them. And if he were to be resurrected, it would tie in quite nicely with the song that MCR dropped mere days before the return tour began without any warning, a hot new bombshell that entered the villa, one of my favorite MCR songs. It's in my top 3. You know her, you love her, Foundations of Decay. It's all about, guess what, decay, but also rebirth and shedding your old self or letting it rot away in order to become new. And it's also about deciding whether or not to lay down and give up or get back up and keep fighting. The first part of the song definitely makes me think that this is about either the patient, the dictator, or both. See the man who stands upon the hill, he dreams of all the battles won. But fate had left the scars upon his face and all the damage they had done. So we know the man in the song was a soldier of some kind, which would track with the patient, who was also a soldier as evident by the song Mama, and in the end of the Welcome to the Black Parade music video, fear and regret give the patient a military medal. And in the tour announcement video, what is the dictator wearing? That's right, full military regalia. Now, not all dictators wear full military regalia, that's more of an intimidation tactic. Some of them wear a business suit. So going a militaristic route with the dictator's clothing is an intentional character design and costume design choice. And this later part of the song could be talking about how the patient could have been resurrected, and if by his own hand his spirit flies, save his body as a relic to be canonized. Because if you end up getting canonized as a saint, you technically get to live forever in the culture and the memory of the people belonging to a certain religion. The most relevant example, of course, being Joan of Arc. Because boy does Gerard love our girl Joan. He's like her #1 fan, and I love that for him. She's even a character in the Black Parade. Here she is on the official artwork for the album. She even gets front and center spotlight on the album cover for the vinyl. But anyway, if this is how the patient got resurrected, then he could be coming back as some kind of deity type creature or a supernatural entity pretending to be a god. Because in a lot of mythology-based modern media, gods, legendary figures, and other beings of myth operate on a belief-based system. If nobody believes in them anymore, they die. Like how in the Percy Jackson books, Pan, Helios, and Selene all end up dying and fading away because nobody believed in them anymore. The only reason that Pan barely survived for 2,000 plus years after he initially went missing is because the satyrs never gave up hope that he was still alive and were still looking for him. And the Roman Emperor Nero, along with the rest of the triumvirate, were able to escape death and live as immortal beings in the Trials of Apollo books because people genuinely believed them to be gods thanks to propaganda. Or if you want to spin this all a completely different way just for kicks, what if the patient's fear of going to hell for his deeds, as in evident in Mama and House of Wolves, which would make a kick-ass swing dance number by the way, somebody needs to get on that, led him to find a way back to the world of the living, and becoming an immortal undead creature was the only way for him to escape eternal torment. But I think my initial theory is more likely. Moving on, we also have more connections if we take a look at the set design for the Return Tour, or the Swarm Tour, which is that of a decaying city lying in ruins and falling apart. And guess what the Black Parade is moving through in the music video? That's right, a decaying city lying in ruins and falling apart. Not only that, but we also have this bit here from Foundations of Decay. Against change, you can wander through the ruins. And guess what the patient is doing basically through the entirety of the Black Parade music video? Wandering through the ruins of said decaying city. And out of curiosity, I decided to compare the tour announcement video to the Black Parade video as well, and see if the Dictator was wearing any military medals similar to the one the patient was given. Unfortunately, he was very underdecorated. However, he did have an Albert chain with a similar shape and color palette in black and silver. However, I did find something more concrete, physical appearance-wise, that may give more credence to this theory. In the second promo video titled Opera, we see a close-up of the Dictator's face, and peeking out from underneath his cap is pure white hair. Not gray from age, straight up white. Now, why does this matter? Well, during the Black Parade era, Gerard initially planned on completely shaving his head bald in order to take on the role of the patient, but was convinced not to do it and instead chopped off most of his hair and bleached it white, entering what I like to call his Goth Targaryen Prince era and becoming the leader of the Black Parade instead. I mean, come on. I can't be the only one that sees this. I can't be. We know Aegon II got around, so it ain't impossible, I'm just saying. So the Dictator having white hair could be a nod to Gerard's original plan to play the patient himself. This is all absolutely insane, MCR, you absolute madmen. So what do you guys think? Am I onto something, or am I talking crazy? I'm gonna be waiting with bated breath until the tour starts in July, and we're probably gonna get some more stuff between now and then, hopefully. And whether or not it'll lend any more legitimacy to my theory, or completely debunk it in one fell swoop, I have no idea. But I am excited to see what happens. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the ramblings of a mad woman who has been cooped up in her house for too long and is hoping, praying, manifesting, wishing upon a shooting star that she can score tickets for the Arlington show secondhand for reasonable prices. Be sure to like this video and maybe leave a comment. I love responding to comments and I love interacting with people. And I'm not currently monetized on YouTube at the moment, so if you want to support me and my shenanigans or maybe help me pay a bill or two, I do have a Ko-fi that I've linked in the description. And that's pretty much it. Take care, everybody. And remember to punch your local Nazi, support trans rights, and may death never stop you. And I'll see you guys later. Bye!